Hello, I'm Francis from Last Minute English, and today we're going to be marking an IELTS Writing Task 2 essay. The essay is going to be, governments should make people responsible for looking after their own local environment. To what extent do you agree or disagree? And this answer comes from Madi, who is one of my students in the IELTS Complete Guide course, which is available on Udemy. You can find the link down here. It's over 37 hours of material to help you get ready for all parts of the IELTS test: reading, listening, speaking, writing, and a lot of other things as well. Very, very useful. Make sure to check it out. So let's take a look at this essay. So we have our introduction here. And what we're going to find is that this essay is, in some senses, very strong, and in other senses has some serious problems. So let's take a look through. I agree with the statement, governments should make people for looking after their own local environment. First of all, we're missing people responsible for. Now, I've underlined this. You can see that the black part, the black writing, is the original essay from Madi, and the blue parts are the ones where I've changed it or I've made some kind of suggestion. Now, why have I underlined this? I've underlined it because we don't want to waste time and space in our essay repeating the question in basically the same words. We also don't want to make it a quote. What we can do instead is to give some kind of background sentence, first of all, to say something in general about whether people or the government should be responsible for protecting the environment. And then we give an opinion that paraphrases the question. Paraphrase means say the same idea in different words. So we don't want to just basically copy the statement. So that part needs to change. And what we can see is that this is a very long introduction. So I've written in my first feedback point down here, this is very long for an introduction. Usually an introduction is 2 or 3 sentences. So usually it would be background sentence or background statement, your thesis statement, and maybe mention your main points of your essay as well. And that's it. This one actually is much, much longer. So that's something that Madi can improve. Also, there are some irrelevant sentences in this paragraph. For example, the sentence about corruption. Now, something that's dangerous when you're writing an IELTS Writing Task 2, also in your IELTS speaking test, is not answering the question that you've been asked. The reason it's dangerous is that the examiner will look at that and say, oh, this person has just remembered a sentence related to the environment and is just throwing the sentence in. It's not answering the question. They're just trying to show some high-level language, okay? Now, I don't think that's what Madi has done here, but that is the danger, and that's what the examiner is going to think. So you need to be very tightly focused, really, really concentrate on answering the question and nothing else. So not a big essay all about the world and the environment and aren't birds beautiful and plants and etc., etc. We're focused on the question, okay? So, for example, this part here, the duty of keeping a society clean of wastages and corruption technically rests on the shoulders of the government. Now, corruption is not in any way related to the local environment. Yes, it's an important thing, but it's an important thing for a different essay, not for this essay. Okay, so that part we can just get rid of completely. Point 3, a lot of this paragraph is not answering the question in a clear way. Basically from here, we can see from here, environmental cleanliness down, it's something that is not really related to the question. For example, this sentence, a clean environment affects people in a good way, both physically and mentally. The mental parameters would be ensuring the mental health. This stuff is all true. You know, environment is very important. It helps our physical health, it helps our mental health. But we can't spend sort of probably 70 or 80 words of a 250-word essay talking about the environment in general. Again, focused. Must be focused on answering the question. Remember that the question is asking who should be responsible for protecting the environment and why should they be responsible. It's not asking the question, is it important to protect the environment? We know that it is, right? We know that. So the question is, who is responsible and why? So something for everyone to do when you get your writing task, when you do your IELTS test, or when you're preparing, make sure that you think about, what is this question really asking me? Okay, try to break down the question into the most basic form. And I would say the most basic form of this question is, who is responsible for protecting the environment and why? Okay, now these are three very negative points, but it's a big shame because Mahdi actually uses some excellent language. And this is why I think that hopefully after watching this video, Mahdi will go away, think about how to organize an essay, and then be able to write really, really high-level essays, because the language here is very good. Environmental cleanliness is a must. Things like physically and mentally, the physical parameters of this stance, the spreading of bacterial and viral diseases. So Mahdi has really good English. It's just a question of essay organization. Okay? So that is sort of the introduction. And in future, I would like that to be a much shorter introduction and getting rid of most of the irrelevant information. And then we can move on to the second paragraph, or sort of the first body paragraph, I suppose. Now, almost all countries have people working in local environmental safety areas. The jobs pertaining to this to this areas are cleaners, housekeepers, sweepers, waste management workers, local police, and other various micro roles. This here, pertaining, is a really high-level word. It's really good. While changing the government's stance on this area would put the first three jobs into risk, by the way, it should be put jobs at risk, not into. We can change into at. It can't be denied that this step will bring a revolution in people's life. Now, my question here is, what exactly is Mahdi talking about? And the problem is that I think Mahdi in his head has an idea of, okay, this is something that could happen, or like there's a clear idea, I think, in Mahdi's head, but that idea is not on the paper. So when we're reading, it's very hard to know what this is all about. Changing the government's stance. Which government? What is the stance that they're changing? How is it related to these workers? So there is a big problem, which is a lack of clarity, a lack of being clear. So we can go down and see the biggest issue with this paragraph is a lack of clarity. Your first goal when writing an essay should be to make your main point clear. That is the most important thing. I always say clarity is king. That means it's very important. King is important. Clarity is king, okay? You don't want to try to throw lots of, oh, I know this word, let's throw that one in. Oh, this is a good word, put that one in. That's not your priority. Your first priority is to make your essay clear. Make it focused. Make sure you're answering the question that the examiner has asked you, okay? It's really, really important. This paragraph asks us to sit and think about what the main point should be. So, like I said, the government's stance on something, but we have to sit and think, what is the writer talking about. So that's not good. It should be completely 100% clear what the writer is saying. Clarity is really important. So the paragraph should almost shout the main point at us again and again and again and again. Okay? So just keep going over that point that you have. Make it really clear. Say your main points in your introduction. Say your main point in the first sentence of your body paragraph. Say it again at the end of your body paragraph, in your conclusion sentence. Say it again at the end of the essay, in your conclusion. Keep making what your main points are really clear to the examiner. That's how you can get a good task achievement and coherence and cohesion score. And then we can go back and take a look at this second point here, which is, once again, there is some excellent use of language in this paragraph, but sometimes at the expense of clarity. So let's take a look. For example, if the government forces the aforementioned topic as a bill onto the people, aforementioned is great if you use it in the right way. And it's used correctly here, but I think that Mahdi has spent too much time thinking about how to use great language and not enough about how to write an essay in a very kind of organized way. Another example, a society is the mingling of all kinds of people. While some people will be voluntarily participating in environmental cleanliness. It's very good language, but it's not well organized. That is by far the biggest problem here. Okay, and then we move on to I guess the conclusion or the next body paragraph, I'm not sure. So the foremost gainers would be the children. Allowing them to participate in cleaning from an early age will build the habit of cleanliness in their life. Now, cleaning, I suppose what Mahdi means is like helping to keep the local environment protected. But cleaning is more like, we think about cleaning your house or cleaning your car or something like that. So it's not the best choice of language. As Aristotle said, it's great. If you can use an Aristotle quote, it's great. Humans are the sum of their own actions. This policy will pave the way, we say pave the way, to generate a fine, self-motivated, conscious generation, which would in turn take the countries to a new height. So, once again, great language, really good use of language. But, once again, not answering the question. And that is our biggest problem. We can see in this paragraph there is a misunderstanding of the question. The essay is focused on cleaning, whereas the question itself asks us to discuss who should be responsible for environmental protection and why. Okay, so this is the big thing for everyone watching to think about. You need to think when you are sitting down to write your IELTS Writing Task 2 essay that you have to answer the question. There's no way to escape answering the question, okay? And it's better to answer in a controlled, simple way rather than trying to put in lots of language, but you make your essay confusing or you forget to focus on answering the question. So if we take a look at the predicted score, we can see where the problem is. So grammar and vocabulary, 7, both very good. Very nice use of language, not too many mistakes. Definitely Mahdi's getting a 7 for those two, which is great because that means that with a bit more organization, it's very possible to get at least a 7 overall. But task achievement and coherence and cohesion are both a 5, okay? Because this essay is not answering the question, it's not organized in the right way, and overall it's just not clear. So that is why it's a 5 for these two. Meaning, overall, a score of 6. But don't despair, Mahdi. With better organization, with better clarity, it's very, very possible to get a much higher score with the level of writing that you have. Okay? So everyone, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Maddie for submitting the essay. Good job. So if you are interested in preparing very well for your IELTS test, you can make sure you check out our IELTS Complete Guide down here. It's a link to our Udemy course. It's very useful, over 37 hours of materials, and we update it all the time. We update with the new speaking answers every time they change, and we update with lots of other useful materials as well. The course keeps growing and growing and growing. So make sure you check it out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful, and I will see you next time.